There seems to be some confusion as to how US governance is supposed to function and how the chart of hierarchy is laid out. Just last week, the Vice President, J.D. Vance, posted, "If a judge tried to tell a general how to conduct a military operation, that would be illegal. If a judge tried to command the Attorney General in how to use her discretion as a prosecutor, that is also illegal. Judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power." And a few days later, Trump's lawyer, Alina Habba, said there's a separation of powers for a reason. The executive branch is the ultimate authority on federal issues.
The separation of powers, it's a really novel idea, but our founding fathers created a document, the Constitution. There's a separation of powers for a reason. The executive branch is the ultimate authority on federal issues, and we have rogue judges who are trying to stop members like Doge Team, Besant, from doing their job.
Except since 1803, the courts have oversight over the executive branch through judicial review, which allows them to determine whether executive actions comply with the Constitution and with federal law. However, if the president resists those rulings, that could create the potential for a constitutional crisis. If a president ignores court orders, the judiciary has no direct means to enforce its rulings, relying instead on institutional norms and public pressure. But what if ignoring the courts is Trump's plan? And what if Trump is himself just following orders? In an era of unprecedented wealth concentration and political influence, the American political system is facing a challenge unlike any before. The 2024 election not only underscored the growing power of billionaires in shaping electoral outcomes, but also signaled a deeper shift, the erosion of democratic safeguards in favor of a new ruling elite, the tech-industrial complex. Elon Musk, now both the world's richest person and Donald Trump's live-in boyfriend, has taken an active role in the federal government. Aside from being a top campaign donor to the Donald Trump for President campaign, he has now come in and shuttered agencies, fired officials with little regard for conflicts of interest. His influence extends far beyond the typical sway of wealthy donors. Musk has reportedly gained access to sensitive government systems, including the Treasury Department's payment processing infrastructure, raising grave concerns about the entanglement of private power and public governance. Yet, Musk is not alone. Other tech titans, including Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg, have been seated at the helm of power both financially and operationally, as their companies tighten their grip on the American economy and information landscape. This consolidation of wealth and political influence has led many to dub the current era an oligarchy or a broligarchy, a system where a small group of ultra-wealthy hipsters and individuals, primarily from the tech sector, wield unchecked power over the political and economic structures of the country. Now, 3 major shifts have brought the United States to this precarious moment. Firstly, the collapse of campaign finance safeguards. The Supreme Court Citizens United decision over a decade ago unleashed a flood of unregulated money into politics. The 2024 election saw an insane influx of billionaire funding, with just 10 individuals supplying nearly half of the money supporting Trump's candidacy. Musk alone poured at least $288 million into Trump's campaign, running a super PAC that operated as an unofficial arm of the campaign itself. The line between private donors and political operatives has effectively vanished. And then the expansion of presidential power. Over the past several decades, the executive branch has steadily accumulated power with fewer checks from Congress and the judiciary. Trump has accelerated this trend, issuing executive orders that defy constitutional norms, bypassing congressional authority and removing oversight mechanisms. His dismissal of at least 17 agency inspectors general without congressional notice exemplifies the unchecked authority he now wields. Courts have blocked some of these overreaches, but with the Supreme Court increasingly sympathetic to executive power, the ability to rein in presidential excesses is diminishing. And finally, the dominance of the tech-industrial complex. Beyond wealth, today's billionaire class wields another powerful tool: control over the flow of information. Traditional media no longer dictates political narratives. Instead, platforms owned by Musk and Zuckerberg and others shape public discourse through opaque algorithms and data-driven content curation. The lack of transparency in these systems, coupled with legal protections like Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, allows tech platforms to manipulate political engagement with little accountability. The result is a media landscape where political messaging is tailored, amplified, and censored based on interests of those who own the platforms, further entrenching their influence over elections and governance. Despite the grim outlook, history suggests that corruption and concentrated power often sow the seeds of their own undoing. From the progressive era's pushback against the Gilded Age to the post-Watergate campaign finance reforms, American democracy has faced and overcome existential threats before. But meaningful reform will require a bold opposition. Elevating my style used to mean breaking the bank. But with Quince, I get high-end, versatile pieces at prices I can actually afford. Now I can upgrade my style by snagging killer luxury essentials that sync with my vibe and wallet. Quince has all the must-haves like Mongolian cashmere crewneck sweaters, iconic 100% leather jackets, and versatile flow-knit activewear. The best part? All Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes the savings on to us. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. I love that. And these t-shirts that I wear feel great and fit me like a glove. Indulge in affordable luxury. Go to quince.com/FMN for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/FMN to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/FMN. First and foremost, campaign finance laws must be overhauled to reverse the damage done by Citizens United. Without strict limits on the role of big money in elections, billionaires will continue to function as kingmakers, further eroding public trust in democracy. Second, presidential authority must be reined in. Congress must reassert its role as the first branch of government, restoring oversight mechanisms and ensuring that no president, regardless of party, can operate beyond the law. And finally, the unchecked power of tech billionaires must be addressed. Stronger antitrust laws, algorithmic transparency mandates, and revisions to Section 230 could serve as the foundation for a new era of accountability in the digital space. The dominance of a few corporations over political discourse is an existential threat to democracy, and failing to act could cement their control indefinitely. But who gets to act, with the Republicans taking full control of the House, the Senate, the executive, and, of course, the Supreme Court? The stakes have never been higher. And while public outrage over money in politics and billionaire influence is widespread, solutions remain elusive. The challenge is not just identifying the problem, but building the political will to enact structural reform. The coming years will test whether American democracy can withstand the pressures of the broligarchy, or whether it will succumb to an era where private wealth dictates public policy. One thing is certain: if reform does not present itself, the consequences could be irreversible. As I've said before, with voter suppression and disinformation, the odds of Democrats winning another election ever again are diminished. And that is all part of the plan. Trump wasted no time asserting his authority in the early weeks of his second term, swiftly enacting a series of sweeping executive actions that have sparked fierce opposition. Since returning to the White House, he's halted new asylum requests, dismantled refugee resettlement programs, frozen federal hiring and budgets, and weakened key government agencies, restricted gender transition care, and introduced a mass federal worker buyout initiative that looks more like a scam. These aggressive moves have tested the boundaries of presidential authority, igniting legal battles with Democratic leaders, labor unions, and advocacy groups. So far, the federal courts have emerged as the primary check on Trump's agenda, blocking some of his more controversial orders, such as his attempt to revoke birthright citizenship, a right enshrined in the 14th Amendment. Yet Trump remains undeterred, if a little confused. His latest confrontation involves a Rhode Island judge who accused the administration of openly ignoring a court ruling to release billions in frozen federal funds. The White House pushed back, insisting the president's actions are entirely within the law, because they say so. With legal challenges mounting, a constitutional battle over executive power is inevitable, setting the stage for a possible Supreme Court showdown. And with the Supreme Court in the tank for Trump, it appears that for now, he has supreme jurisdiction. This is the constitutional crisis we have feared. This is the checkmate that the broligarchs had been looking forward to. I'm Anthony Davis. You can find me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with Midas Touch.